what's happened since the last video came out and kind of where we are now. Just really 2 points I wanted to touch on. First is the offer that the union made on interest arbitration, and then second about the forced vote that Canada Post wants to try and push through. So on the first point, on the request for interest arbitration that the union extended to the employer, I'm not obviously part of the National Executive Board, and I don't know if there were kind of rationalizations or discussions that took place up there with respect to how they decided that they were going to present that to the employer. But just from my own perspective, my own position, obviously not speaking for the union or for the local, I think that was more of a tactical error on the part of the union. And the reason I think that's a tactical error is because it breaches the principles by which we have fought for in the past. Our argument has always been that it's withdrawing our labor is our fight against the employer. I think that was being successful in November and December, and by extending the call it an olive branch to the employer to go to interest arbitration on the outstanding issues that we don't have agreement on, is one, it's watering down our arguments that we've always argued in we've done constitutional challenges to dispute back to work arbitration or back to work legislation with binding arbitration on the outcome of those collective agreements. And we've won constitutional challenges that it breached our rights, and it breaches the rights of the Canadian public in their protections under the Constitution. The other thing I think it does is it waters down our argument with respect to standing up to the employer and digging our line in the sand and fighting our position on a just and principled argument. By the union requesting interest arbitration, we're kind of saying that we're reinforcing the argument for the employer that they've gotten away with for so long to say that, we're just going to be intransigent at the negotiations table. We're not going to budge on any of our issues because we expect the government to ultimately bail us out. And that's been historically what they've gotten. For the union now to kind of turn around and say, now we're asking for interest arbitration because you're intransigent at the table and you're not budging on your issues, is us conceding what the employer has always done in the past. And now there's the other avenue that rather than waiting for the government to order us back to work through legislation and arbitration, we're kind of getting to the point where we're requesting it. So it kind of reinforces the position for the employer to just remain intransigent and stubborn at the table and not negotiate in good faith, because whether the government orders us back to work and forces us into arbitration or whether we request it, we're kind of taking away what is the principle of collective bargaining and withdrawing our labor to fight for the demands that we're owed and the demands that we put forward as a membership. So that was kind of the thought I wanted to share just with regards to the interest arbitration request. But that being said, the union did extend that, and the employer turned that down, which to me, it kind of reinforces the position that we've been arguing the whole time, that the employer is weak in their position. And the arguments that they've been presenting, their arguments in front of the Kaplan Commission, as much as they got what they wanted out of William Kaplan in that report, saying everything they wanted, and they're relying on that report as their justification to try and force this issue forward to force a vote. I think it shows the employer was weak in their position, and they don't want to roll the dice and potentially put it in front of a neutral third party in arbitration that has that third party kind of going, well, you're not kind of solid on your justification and your numbers and your arguments, because as we've known and we've argued, the corporation isn't losing money. Nobody can compete with what we do in the parcel business at the rates that we do. We go to parts of the country that private courier companies don't go to, and as much as declining letter mail volume may be a factor out there, that's not going to account for all the losses that Canada Post is claiming. Again, as was said in previous videos and has been said multiple times, Canada Post has made business decisions that were questionable, that have cost money. They've lost pay equity lawsuits. Those are management decisions. They don't have the money. They're saying they're looking for $1 billion to keep the operation running. Yet at the same time, they just all gave themselves bonuses. So they've got money in the budget for bonuses, but they don't have money in the budget for the workers who are actually doing the work of the post office. So if the government ultimately concedes to the employer's demand and the boss gets what they want, and a vote is forced on what they're calling their final offer, it's important that we vote no as a membership. It has to be a no vote. It collectively has to rally, and the union needs to devote a lot of resources to getting that message out in the no vote. Because to the average rank and file member, they're not recognizing really what's at stake. They're being asked to vote on a 700-page document that they haven't seen. They don't know what it says. We have lawyers that review that and examine that, look at the finer points in that, and the corporation's asking members to blindly accept that. And really, off what grounds? It's like a strategy that they played from the beginning. They became intransigent, they dug in, they fought hard, they got the government to put a pause, which is something that never existed before. We are constitutionally challenging that. They get all of that, and they get a Kaplan report that says what they want said in that, to now frustrate the members, to force us into a vote that they want on what they say is their final offer, that's their best they can do, but that's obviously not true. We know the money's there. So if the members accept that, they're mortgaging their future. They're sacrificing the gains that have been made through years past, through the gains that were made by the generations that came before, through the fights of Jean-Claude Perrault and other leaders that have gone to jail in defying back to work orders and defying injunctions on picket lines. We have fought. It's like Gandhi said, the greatest victories are fought. Those are hard-fought battles. Those are hard-won battles. Nothing comes easy. We have to remain strong in our position. The corporation tried to beat us down, have tried to weaken the resolve of the membership. We need to stand strong as we were in November when everybody was chomping at the bit to hold this fight against the employer. They tried to beat that fight out of the members by dragging us out on that picket line for so long and then getting all this drawn out in commission inquiry and now trying to force a vote. They're trying to rely on the frustration and the exhaustion of the membership. But this is the time we need to be strong. This is the time we need to rally together collectively to get that collective message out, because the sacrifices that workers right now are being asked to make are sacrifices that are going to be resonating and reverberating for the generations to come. Sacrifices to our working conditions, sacrifices to our health and safety, sacrifices to our pension. Those are all things that are going to happen, and it's going to continue the concession slippery slope, collective bargaining that the employer has always been trying to get out of us. They've been doing it for years. If there's going to be a moment at a time to draw our line in the sand and say this is where we stand and this is where we fight, and we're not going to crawl, we're not going to accept crumbs from the boss. We're going to fight. They've done nothing but soften their position on the demands they wanted. They haven't given us our substantive demands. We're not going to sacrifice our future. We're not going to mortgage those workers that are coming behind us that we need to fight to defend our pension in the years to come. We have to stand now. And when future generations look back at what we did now in voting no to this garbage, they're going to say this was the generation, these were the workers that drew that line in the sand, stood strong, fought hard, and fought to get us what we have and to maintain and to build off what was done before. This is where we have to strongly say no. We will not accept concessions. We're not going to roll over to frustrations or browbeating from the employer, the misinformation that's being disseminated. We stand strong, we fight, and we fight hard. And again, as was said in the last video, if we're looking for a pivot position because say we get something worse coming out of this at the end of the day, our pivot position as a union, we push the postal banking argument. The government's not going to give that to us. The corporation's not going to give that to us. We have to take that information to the public. We get the public on board. When the public is demanding postal banking from their politicians, they can't turn a blind eye to that. The corporation can't deny doing that. Politicians will have to do it. We bring that fight to the public. We benefit the public. We benefit postal workers. That's our history. That's our legacy. That's what we've done, and we have to continue that fight. So my message to everyone is to vote no. If this comes to a vote on this collective agreement, talk to your sisters and brothers on the work floor. Talk to everybody. Get that message out. Explain to them that it's not just an outside worker issue or an RSMC issue or an inside workers issue. It's all our issues. Everything that's being sacrificed through the collective agreement that they're asking workers to accept on its face, circumventing the negotiations process, is a rollback. And we cannot accept that. This is our moment to stand strong. So again, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and the struggle continues.